Let's build.
Motherfucking business is, nigga. Ass nigga. Fuck it like they used to, dog. Niggas trying to get at a nigga sideways and shit, nigga. It's real talk, nigga. Fuck with my nigga. Welcome to the life of a young only. Hang out with them dealers. Leaving where the dead die. But try to do it big like the kid from Bed-Stuy.
You know I had to wait for the kid from Bed-Stuy part, so I'm happy to be here with you today. My name is Yves Darbouze, and this is the Pan-African product. I think someone like me, a lot of times when people who know me, like, they hear about what I'm doing, or they've bought the book, or they're surprised because this sounds, I notice what they mean is that this sounds like some socialist commie stuff. Eve, where you going with this? You like getting money. We know you. You like to get money. What is this? And I do. I do, but I know, and I've done enough. I've read enough theory. I've learned to do an analysis enough to understand that everything we're seeing today, the chaos we're seeing in the world, was predicted by one Karl Marx. And every day that we have these conversations and these back and forths on different sides, and I just believe that the dialectical examination has been done. And although we all need to learn how to do it, I think there's other things that we need to be doing, right? One is identifying the opportunity for those who care about the opportunity, because even Karl Marx believed in commerce, and there's going to need to be commerce for the Pan-African state to be powerful. Knowing that you need commerce for the Pan-African state to be powerful, you have to have plans for what finance and funding looks like. This is a key elements of a strong economy where people can do things. But why leave the one that we're in? It's so great, right? Especially for us black people. You know, I was talking to a brother the other day, and he was like, why you wrote the book about going to Africa? Why does all the Africans get the venture capital? It's because they have seed capital. When you depend on venture capital to be your friends and family round, your seed, early startup round, the way they look at it is, if no one else believes in you, why should I? Which is a difficult position to put yourself in. If you have a couple of millionaire uncles, or if you're exposed to multi-billionaires, voila, your idea is even a little bit good, you're going to get some seed funding. But if you're a Haitian kid from Brooklyn, very few of us is going to get seed funding. Mami, écoute chèque pour moi. 250,000 seulement. 250,000. That's all it is, mommy. Cut the check. So we depend, more than any group, depend on venture capital to see the fruitions of our ideas. And I wanted today to kind of go through something that I know that a lot of African Americans do not know, which is the opportunity is not here. See, when they dreamed up black capitalists, the concept of black capitalists, it was to counteract the Black Power movement. Nixon and his cabinet is talking. It's like, they're in the streets. They really look like they serious this time. What are we gonna do? I don't know if it was F.C. Buckley or some other minion, Kissinger. Sounds like something Kissinger would have dreamt up, but he said, let's just create the illusion. Let's show some scattered success, which will create the illusion that there's this pathway for them. Let's show them Beyonce and Jay-Z and Robert Smith, and without even talking about what wealth is. Wealth is not the amount of money you have. Wealth is the control of the means of production. That's real wealth. The means of production is not just electricity and the internet. The means of production is the 32 NFL owners. The 32 NFL owners is an example of a means of production. Like they run the football sport. And because they run the sport that is football, they decide if you play or not, if you get drafted or not. Look what just recently happened to Shedeur Sanders, a guy who had first round talent, was selected 5th because the oligarchs really didn't like the cut of his jib. I can't tell you. But in this analysis that we have to make, if I could have said to you, stay here, stay in America, the money, the opportunity, what's happening in America, I would have never wrote this book. If the United States is where dreams are deferred and as cliche as it sounds, if all our dreams weren't shriveling up on vines, I wouldn't have wrote this book. Shout out to Langston Hughes and his most famous and over discussed work. Well, you can't over discuss a masterpiece, right? You can't. I wanted to show what the opportunity is here in the West, here in the United States, here in the place where a lot of Africans want to come and start businesses. I'll do the lending numbers another day. The venture capital numbers are clear because venture capital, if you can get early stage funding for an idea, you are on your way to wealth. Before I even say that, you have to understand the thing about venture capital. Venture capitalists are typically lemmings. They would rather have one company have all the funding than have a bunch of companies fighting it out where there's no clear winner and no clear place to invest in. There's a saying that venture capitalists are lemmings. It's true. If Andreessen makes a gigantic bet, the other ones make the same bet. And now that company has all of the money and they could just slowly choke out their competitors, which has happened to me a couple times because I didn't understand that I was playing a contact sport. I thought these are the smartest, most educated people in the world. No way could they act like crooks and thieves and the people, that I thought lived in my neighborhood. They didn't live in my neighborhood. They live in your neighborhood. Well, they live in their neighborhoods. So the lemmings will pick a direction and all of them will go there. You can't, people will tell me, oh, you see how Nas and Jay-Z, they only invest in companies, companies started by white boys. That's sound investment. If I'm putting my money on someone, I'm putting my money on the person who has all the funding. Is that a nice thing? No. Is that how venture capital works? Yeah, pretty much. If you're gonna make an early bet, why not bet on the guy with the most money? And it's either Mark Andreessen or Ben Horowitz. I think it was Ben Horowitz that said this. And I'm giving it to him because I like Ben more. Ben Horowitz once said, the game in venture capital or being a startup is don't run out of money. Not even make a profit as soon as you can, get to EBITDA or break even, or let's see some revenue for over 3 years and more revenue growth. None of that. Don't run out of money. Because the guy with the most venture capital wins. And if you're making bets on who's going to win, you're going to pick the guy with all the money. Got it? That's simply it. Now, what I'm about to show you is something I know and something I deal with as a developer and creator of things and a software engineer. I've known these numbers forever, and they used to be worse. But the thing is, it's just how much people don't recognize it. Most people here believe in capitalism because they're waiting for their turn to be rich, to treat people like crap, to be a gluttonous pig and treat people like crap. Most capitalist people are waiting their turn or hoping it could be them. It's the reason why they support it. And the thing about these numbers is that they're very personal to me. Let's start at the bottom here at 2020, right? In 2020, we got 0.6% of all venture capital, equaling a $1 billion. $1 billion is one project. There are projects, and I'm not saying that they didn't merit that raise. I'm just saying there are startup projects that raise $1 billion, $1 billion by themselves. That has happened several rounds, maybe towards Series A, but Series A, $1 billion, easy, right? It went up in 2021 because of, that's right, when George Floyd happened, our folks, or in the tech world, were guilted into giving black venture capitalists a little bit more than what they typically get. The tunes of 4 to 5 times more, right? Still only 1.3%, but they gave us 100 million shy of 5 billion, right? They gave us some money, but it was only 1.4%. You have to remember, we make up 12.5% of this population. Considering that, shouldn't we get, I mean, if things were fair, and life is not fair, if things were equitable and life is not equitable, this number wouldn't look like, even this, the high, 4.5 billion, it would not look like that. It would not look like that if things were fair. But then something happened after the George Floyd thing. There was like a mutiny of rich dudes that were like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I won't be guilted into investing into these tires. And they were pissed. They were pissed to even break us off 1.3%, and it dropped to 1.1%, right? $2.5 billion. Chump change. Chump change. But that was still that period. It's before they proved the dirt on Black Lives Matter, and the neoliberals were satisfied with themselves, and then now they're angry. It was like, why do I gotta give you money because you're black? Racism is over. And they're these angry, radicalized to become right-wing. Remember, I don't know if you guys seen in my other videos, I talk about it a lot. When I started in the tech industry, we were a bunch of hippies coding. You know, I was from the hip-hop generation. You know what I'm saying? We were rebels without a pause, right? And I started working with these guys, like, management were like Grateful Dead heads. And most of my coworkers on my level were like grunge heads, like depressed Kurt Cobain wannabes. So it was kind people. But then the financiers came in, then the money came in. It changed the landscape of what we do. Right? So now we have 2023 comes along, and they're pissed. They're mad about everything. They want Trump back in. They want to do their thing. It drops precipitously to 705 million. That's nothing. That's an IDO, a really successful IDO raise or launch, or ICO raise launch. Crypto, the Trump coin probably did numbers better than this. 705 million for venture capital for African American founders. This is insane. You would think it would have gotten better. The amount went up, the percentage went down. In 2024, the number was 0.4, and it stayed static there. Data reported in 2025 of U.S. venture capital funding awarded to startups with at least one black founder has reached its lowest levels. And yes, in 2025, it was 0.4%. With all the black billionaires, with all the diversity in hiring, with all the well-wishing and good interest, the opportunity is not here, right? I want to kind of reverse your attention or get you to look at something. 17% of the world's population is on the African continent. Remember that number. 17% of the world's population lives on the African continent. Now let's find out how rich they are, right? 9.6% of the world's oil output is in Africa. I think it's way more than that. Not currently, but in the ground. But let's work off that number, 9.6. So then as one continent, we're an oil-poor continent, maybe, 9.6%. But 90% of the world's cobalt is in Africa. 90% of the world's platinum is in Africa. 90% of the world's 50% of the world's gold supply is in Africa. And I think there's more. I think there's more. When governments are well funded and can do the geological surveys themselves, I think they will find more. But 50% of the world's gold supply is with us. 2/3 of the world's manganese in Africa. 35% of the world's uranium, I think it's more, is in Africa. 75% of the world's coltan is in Africa. 60% of the world's arable land is on the continent of Africa. So if you want to talk to me about the opportunity, the business opportunity, it is in Africa. If you could just imagine bigger, if you could just think on a higher level, if you were ever able to remove 300 to 500 million people from poverty the way China did, you are cooking with gas, my friend. The opportunity is not here groveling at these people's feet, hoping that we'll be one of the scattered few that raises money. I'm lucky enough to have raised over 7 figures. I'm lucky enough to have done that. But even then, I was underfunded against my opponent by 100%, by 1,000% in all actuality. They were raising in the hundreds of millions. I was raising in the 1 million. That's the ball game. You have to work 10 times as hard to get 1 time the amount. I understand it's what my father taught me. It's what I've taught my son. But Africa got this stuff going on. Africa has all of this opportunity, and if we could just break out of our professional managerial class mindsets, if we could just break out of that and have a rebellion of mind, you would want a Pan-African state too. You would want it's not even about owning the mine, it's the services around the mine. It's not even about owning the manganese, it's the opportunity to build businesses around where the manganese mine is. It's doing the advertising for these companies. It's servicing, it's who delivers their lunch, who caters to them. All of these is funding forms. All of these are opportunities made just by creating a platform for these industries to flourish in a way that they could never in the hands of people who don't care about us. You don't have to be scared of these numbers. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out there and get it. Go out there and get it. Go out there and get it. But for those minds that can see a bigger picture, right? When I used to tell my friends I want to be the Black Steve Jobs, they would laugh at me. I never want to laugh at you, and I never will laugh at you. Whatever thing that you have in your mind, I want to build a car company better than Tesla. I want to create a grid system to make sure that nobody ever loses power in Africa. I want to create a solar mine, a solar energy mine in the Sahara. I think Africans shortchange themselves. They think everything is sweet here. You have to build it. You have to build it. You have to own it, and the only way you can own it is either you were born from it, or you're willing to kill for it, or you have killed for it. That's not what we're trying to do here. We are trying to have a revolution of mind, a revolution of will. That's all it takes. It only takes that to make this a possibility. This number is begging for scraps. That is begging for scraps. What's the opportunity in the West? I'll tell you, to work for them. And that's better than in a lot of countries. But why not dream bigger than that? Why not see ourselves in a different light? One last thing before I let y'all go. If you guys made it this far, please like and comment. I want questions. I know this is a new channel and you need people to speak to people, and I'm a ways from doing lives, but I want to hear what the people think. I want to hear even the detractors, because detractors is where you become better. So yeah, I even want to hear from the detractors. My name is Yves, as I always say, and this has been the Pan-African.